Hey, so if you've been struggling with pornography for a while, it's quite likely that one of the key factors is obviously that you still have some underlying motivation to watch it. And so, if we want to engineer that behavior out of your life, we have to reduce that. So, in this video, if you give me about 10 minutes or so, I promise that I will dramatically reduce, if not kill, your motivation to watch pornography. And I'm going to do that by using a technique which I call reading the ingredients. And much as we would with junk food that we see on the shelf in the supermarket or whatever, you pick it up, if you flip it over and you look at the ingredients list on the back and you see all of the crap in there, the preservatives, the carcinogenic, toxic, garbage, the saturated fat levels, the sugar levels, etc. Suddenly, that thing becomes much less appealing and you can quite easily put it back on the shelf. Well, we can actually do that with pretty much anything that is toxic, harmful, corrupts us, that we want to avoid, etc. And in this video, we're going to do that with pornography. So without further ado, I've put together a research report that pulls together a lot of research and studies on what goes into producing pornographic videos and the harms for performers and everyone involved, except those who monetize it and ruthlessly exploit performers and the viewers, like probably yourself if you're watching this. So without further ado, let's get into that report. Let's read the ingredients and let's kill that motivation to watch. So here we are. This is a report that we actually made for our Remojo program members to help, again, kill that motivation off. And so it says The Hidden Reality of the Pornography Industry, a research-backed report on exploitation and harm. And there are references for everything mentioned in this from research and various studies. At the foot of the document here, I'll probably link this below the YouTube video so that you can download this, print it off, read it over, and just refer to it on a regular basis if you want to remind yourself of exactly how disgusting pornography is. So let's get into it, right? So research reveals that the pornography industry operates on a foundation of exploitation, coercion, and severe psychological and physical harm to performers. Nearly 90% of performers experience childhood sexual abuse. So I'm just going to let that sink in actually before I even continue. We're not even halfway through the second sentence of this report. 90% of performers experience childhood sexual abuse. Basically every single one. So almost every single one of the performers that you're watching in a porn video have been abused as a child, and obviously that number is so high that it's clearly causative. There's clearly a causational link between the two things. And so you are watching the outcome of that trauma play itself out in this kind of behavior. Most normal women are not willing to film porn scenes, with 84% exhibiting clinically significant PTSD symptoms. So nearly all of them as well are traumatized, whether it's from the child sexual abuse or whether it's from the porn. It's not clear from just reading the high-level summary, but essentially these are trauma victims. And again, that trauma is playing itself out on video, and 69% having attempted suicide. The industry systematically targets vulnerable individuals through economic desperation while subjecting them to documented patterns of abuse, violence, and humiliation. So as guys, we have to reflect, right? Just even at the highest level, executive summary, reflect. Is this something that, first of all, you want to be taking pleasure from? Secondly, supporting with your eyeballs, which gives the websites ad revenue, and you're potentially buying things as well, which gives them actual revenue directly. And the third thing is that every view fuels the industry. So every time you view a pornographic video on a porn site, these view counts go up, which creates demand, which gives suppliers evidence of demand. And so they need to look for new women to create new content to continuously refresh the homepage and the catalog or library of these sites. Moving on now to performer motivations. So economic desperation is the primary driver. Research consistently shows that economic need, not empowerment or choice, as people will try and gaslight you into believing, motivates entry into the industry. Performers often enter with pre-existing financial insecurity and frequently leave with greater debt problems. Female performers commonly spend money quickly and get into debt. So clearly, quite often these are very young women who have money thrown at them And in conjunction with the lifestyle, substance abuse, other issues, they don't manage it well and they don't really make anything from it in most cases. The industry specifically recruits individuals with pre-existing mental health problems and substance abuse issues. Over 50% of performers use various drugs, with 59% using marijuana, 20% using cocaine, nearly 19% using ecstasy or Xanax. 19% of them are depressed and want to escape themselves. Research indicates that mental health problems are highly prevalent among female performers, with many developing conditions like depression, bipolar disorder, and post-traumatic stress disorder during their involvement in the industry. As one male performer stated, 99% of girls are screwed up in the head because what they're doing is not normal. Next up, we have human trafficking connections. Pornography serves as the driving force behind international sex trafficking. The average age of entry into porn and prostitution in the United States is 12, with some victims as young as 5 years old. Federal law classifies much pornography production as a form of sex trafficking when it involves recruitment, harboring, transportation, provision, or obtaining persons for the purpose of sexual exploitation, which is obviously a lot of what goes on when women are recruited for these films. The line between consensual participation and trafficking is systematically blurred through coercion and exploitation. Third-party control and forced prostitutions. 56% of performers experience third-party control. So the majority of women are being coerced or forced, almost 60%, indicating widespread management and exploitation by others who profit from their participation. This includes manipulation through false job adverts, blackmail using intimate images to force them to continue, economic bondage through debt and financial control, and isolation from support systems and alternative opportunities. So this is what we are fueling when we watch porn sites. We are providing the demand that suppliers meet through this kind of activity. You have to reflect and say, is this something that I want to be part of, that I want to support, that I want to feed and fuel? I think obviously not. Any man with integrity, with ethics, is going to come to that conclusion. And so I hope that this is starting to have an effect, and you can see why reading the ingredients in this way really helps us to stay strong, to stay committed, and to maintain a consistent desire to stay away from porn. And in the Remojo course community and coaching program, we actually use this as part of our behavioral engineering mastery course, which is where we really break the habit by working with killing motivation, yes, and then also reducing your ability to watch it, and then also minimizing prompts in the form of external triggers and internal triggers. And so the combination of these things, right, when you kill motivation and then you also obstruct access and make it less easy to access, then you also minimize the number of prompts, minimize the number of triggers. You can see that that really helps to break the habit quite quickly. And so we actually use this in behavioral engineering mastery to systematically engineer the porn habit out of your life as soon as possible. And then we have the rest of the program for mastering your impulses, recommitting, and making it permanent. Next up, we have systematic humiliation and degradation. So content analysis reveals that humiliation is a central theme in contemporary pornography. 41% of top-selling porn films contain total humiliation, so basically disgusting stuff that is absolute bottom of the barrel behavior that no one should really be engaging in. And the demand for humiliation content is increasing in modern pornography, with performers incentivized through elevated financial payments to participate in degrading acts. Research confirms that severe public humiliation can result in major depression, suicide, anxiety, and psychosis. Then, of course, there's physical violence. I'm sure this is obvious. Performers are exposed to physical trauma on film sets, with documented patterns of choking and strangulation, slapping, hitting, painful and damaging sexual practices. Don't say that you like women, love women, appreciate women, care for women, or have really any regard for women at all if you watch this. You don't. Certainly if you know this, you cannot say that because this is a core part of the production of porn. I think anyone who's been on porn sites, as I did in the past before starting Remojo, I visited porn sites from the age of 10, unfortunately, when I was first exposed to it, up until the age of about 29 before I quit and then founded Remojo shortly after. But once you know this, you cannot say that you really care about women if you are feeding and fueling the demand for this kind of content. Then we have the consequences for performers in terms of mental health and STIs. So, as I said, nearly 85% having PTSD, traumatized, 60% dissociating from themselves, 70% attempting suicide, and 80% have at least one diagnosed mental health problem. And then you have STIs. So, the women that you're watching, the people that you're watching on these porn sites are, infested, infected, completely overrun by STIs. 20% have gonorrhea or chlamydia. Chlamydia rates are 34 times higher than the local population in a study done in LA, home of the porn industry. And gonorrhea rates are 60 times higher than the general population. That's from the same study. And obviously the women that get involved in this find it very difficult to move on, even though they might deeply regret it and wish they'd never gotten involved, because they cannot get these videos down. That's documented forever online. There's social stigma, relationship difficulties. I think it's becoming relatively well known now that never mind just pornography, but just many sexual partners will destroy a woman's ability to actually form a long-term bond, and a healthy, intimate connection with someone on a sustainable basis. Reduce self-worth, obviously on being commoditized. And then the result is that they turn to substance abuse to cope. As one industry observer noted, if they were completely sober, no alcohol, no drugs, I guarantee you most of them would probably have mental breakdowns. And you may not have been aware of all of this, or you may have received different arguments or have been persuaded by people connected to porn because they like to gaslight us and present participation as empowering or consensual, minimize health risks, or just blame the suppliers, the uploaders, the performers, etc. for individual crimes, negative outcomes, etc., all while they are ruthlessly exploiting and monetizing the content. And so while the porn sites will deny a lot of these connections, when you look at the evidence, the research, and just a common sense view of the content, all of these issues are present. So I hope that gave you a lot of food for thought, and I also hope that it really deterred you from going on to a porn site in the next few days or this week or whatever, and makes you pause and reflect from here on in. I think obviously as men, we cannot be part of this, we can't support this and say we're ethical or we care about women or we really have any sort of standards at all. If we're participating in this, we have to make a strong decision and say that we are going to quit this for good. If you're ready to do that, obviously like and subscribe to the channel. I would love to continue to share information, insights, coach you through videos like this. And if you're ready, you can also check out our program. If you're ready to commit and just quit for good right now, you can start today. There's a program link around this video, and you can also book calls for single coaching sessions or discovery call if you're interested in the hardcore accountability package where we work with you to quit this as soon as humanly possible. But otherwise, I really hope that this has killed your motivation to watch it and given you reason to reflect and perhaps make that commitment to never look at this again. Cheers. Bye.